Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
Nudge me, I'm awake. Is game over yet? Got it. Welcome to Hanny Time. Good afternoon, everybody. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. I'm Charles Hannegriff along with Mario Jerez, Jacob Beck. How long is Sharp's honeymoon?
Extended honeymoon.
Where did he go to the West Indies? I mean, is he in Bora Bora or something? He just been gone. We didn't even get like a text from, hey man, be back and enjoy your time. Jacob's doing a great job setting in for Taylor. The national championship game last night was a dud. UConn with a 17-point win over San Diego State. There's been a lot of debate about, is this good for college basketball? San Diego State being there, Florida Atlantic being there. I think what we just want is good basketball, and we'll watch. And it wasn't bad basketball last night for anything. It wasn't even bad basketball by UConn. It was good basketball by UConn. What you had was a lopsided game. You had a UConn team that has, now that we look back on it, rolled over this tournament field like a freight train, and a good San Diego State team that just was not able to keep up last night. It felt to me watching that UConn had 6 guys out there. That's how tight the defense was. And San Diego State plays good defense, okay? They've played good defense throughout the year. They just didn't have the type of firepower to stay with a team playing at UConn's level. They come out, they hit a couple of threes, and then it's right after the first media timeout that UConn ties it, and then San Diego State doesn't score again for 11 minutes. They don't get another field goal for 11 minutes. And by that point, UConn had built a double-digit lead. And I know that San Diego State cut it to 5 for about 15 seconds late in the second half. But to me, it felt like from the moment they took the 10-point lead, it felt like UConn was up 10 the rest of the game until they started shooting free throws in the last 2 minutes, and it expanded it. There wasn't, in my mind, from the point they took the 10-point lead, there was never a thought in my mind that San Diego State would actually win the game. There wasn't much thought in my mind that they would cover the 7.5 points or wherever you got it, somewhere in that area, in the game. UConn had them at arm's length, and every time San Diego State made a shot or tried to put together a 2-bucket flurry, UConn was right there. And they had balanced scoring. Adama Sanogo was the best player in this tournament. I've been saying that for 3 games now. He is a versatile guy. He is about as strong a presence on the post. I'd like to see him and Oscar Tshiebwe just getting a tug-of-war one day and see who would win, because these two guys just anchor themselves down the block, and good luck. You need a forklift to move either one of them. But he's also got a somewhat of a soft touch. He's got soft hands, good free throw shooter. In the semifinals, he comes out and makes 2 threes against Miami, and it's like, okay, if that guy's going to make that shot, then forget about it. He didn't make any threes last night. He didn't even take any, but he didn't need to. There was just never a point where I felt like San Diego State made a legitimate run to win the game. That wasn't their fault. It wasn't that they didn't play hard. It's just that the team they lined up against was that much better than them. And I said this at the beginning of the Final Four with the field you had. It felt kind of like the opening round of, the tournament at Atlantis or the Maui Invitational or whatever. And that's how this game played out. This game played out. I mean, take away the arena that it's played in and all of the build up to the game, and just take the actual basketball game, and it played like a November game. It played like a game, like San Diego State was trying to find their offensive identity, and UConn was just that much better than them. There was nothing exciting about the game. That's for me. Give UConn credit. I mean, this will go down as one of the most dominant runs of an NCAA tournament ever. But there was nothing that was particularly compelling about the game. And it's not just because it's San Diego State. I've heard that, well, if you don't get the Blue Bloods in there, nobody's going to watch. I watched when Butler played Duke. That was a really competitive game. I don't think anybody led by more than 5 or 6 points the whole way. There was a shot in the air to win it, past half court, but still a shot in the air to win it. I do think you have to have one team in there that somebody cares about. If Butler had beaten San Diego State that night on a half-court shot, we'd say, oh, what a great shot. But a lot of America stayed up that night to see if Duke would get beat by a team that they had never heard of 3 weeks prior. The following year, when Butler played UConn, pretty much everybody turned it off because why? It was a terrible basketball game. It was even close in the first half. It was a terrible basketball game. So you got to have something. If people will watch, and the ratings for this are low. The overnights are low. You would expect that. I don't think they do themselves any favors by tipping off at 9:20 on the East Coast, because if you want a good reason to go to bed, if it's 10 o'clock, UConn's up 10, they're not playing anybody that you care about. If you're in New York City or Philadelphia or Washington or Atlanta, they gave you multiple reasons to turn off the TV and go to bed. All that being said, UConn was really good. We've had to invent these stories about, are they a blue blood, as if there's some kind of coronation that comes with that. The NCAA comes to your campus and stores and says, yes, you are now a blue blood. Congratulations. You get to start every game up 6-0 next year. They've won 5 titles in 25 years. So they may be new money, but yes, they are one of the best programs in college basketball over the last 30 years, over multiple coaches. We know a little bit about that here. LSU went 45 years without winning a national title in football. Then they won 3 in less than 20, and they did it with 3 different coaches. So is LSU a blue blood in college football right now? I would say that they are. I mean, they've done enough in the last 20 years. Would you consider in 2001 the Miami Hurricanes a blue blood in college football? Because prior to Howard Schnellenberger getting down there wasn't a whole lot about Miami football. But then from 83 to 2001, they won 5 titles with 4 different coaches. So then, yes, they were definitely. So if we are blue bloods, no, they're not. Stop, okay? All I know is they got a bunch of rings. They got 5 rings, and that goes a long way in my book. Will they be good again next year? Probably. Will they win the national title again next year? Probably not. That's just how that goes. So if you watched last night, I watched. I stuck around till the end. I fell asleep somewhere between the end of the game. No, probably the last 2 minutes of the game and one shining moment. Had to rewind it. Okay, let me watch one shining moment. They're going to show me the back of Jim Nance's head just so I can, I'm going to watch one shining moment. Then I'm going to bed for now. Now I'm no longer sleeping on the sofa. Now I'm going to sleep. I've had enough. LSU baseball in action tonight against Nichols. Tigers number 1 in all the polls again. We're at the exact halfway point of the regular season, 24-4. So in addition to being ranked number 1 all season by all the college baseball polls, here's where LSU is. Number 1 in the nation in batting average and fielding percentage. That's pretty good. If you number 1 in on-base percentage, if you like that stat better. So they're getting on base more than anybody in the country. They are fielding it better than anybody in the country. They have scored more runs than anybody in the country. They have thrown more shutouts than anybody in the country. They are number 4 in slugging percentage and number 4 in whip. Dylan Cruz is hitting .543. That leads the nation. So does his on-base percentage. So does his runs scored. Tommy White, number 1 in the nation in RBIs per game and number 3 in total RBIs. Paul Skeens leads the nation in strikeouts, hits allowed per 9 innings, whip, and he's number 3 in the nation in ERA at .81. They're 6-3 in the Southeastern Conference. And yet, it wouldn't be LSU baseball if we weren't worried about something, right? So, given all of that, and I felt the need to read that right off the press release, by the way, which I usually don't do, but I thought I would mention it since all I got coming out of the Saturday game was, you don't have a number 3 starter. You know what? They rarely do. they usually piece that together. The 2017 team was more of the exception than the rule. Most places they're piecing together, what they do on the third day. Tennessee probably had the best rotation out of anybody. Arkansas was here 2 weeks ago. Top 10 team, right? Dave Van Horn, great coach. Been to Omaha. Been a fly ball away from a national title. Would you say that they've got a number 3 starter? I don't know. LSU knocked that cat all the way, they're halfway back to Fayetteville. So it's a work in progress as far as rounding out the pitching staff. I will say that it will be interesting to see if Thatcher Hurd pitches tonight, because they're most likely going to have to back him out of that third starter spot and figure that out. Doesn't mean that they're giving up on Hurd at all. It means he's got to, back out and work some things out, maybe in the midweek games or in the weekend games where you're not out there to start a game. Wouldn't be the first LSU pitcher that had to, take a step back. They used to call it graduating. You do, you have a certain amount of outings in a row that are good, and you say, okay, we're good. You have a certain amount of bad outings in a row, and you got to take a step back and work on things. That'll be one of the things we're watching tonight. If Hurd pitches and how much he pitches. LSU has got a 3-game set with South Carolina and a 3-game set with Kentucky in the next 2 weekends, or Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. If you'd looked at the schedule before the season started, you'd say, well, they're opening up with A&M, then they've got Arkansas, then they've got Tennessee. Before the season started, those were all top 10 teams. You say, well, after that, it eases up a little bit with South Carolina and Kentucky. South Carolina and Kentucky are combined 16-2 in the league, so much for that. No easing of the schedule. Nichols, by the way, has a winning record. They're 17-13. Why do I bring that up? What did I spend a little bit of time talking about in the preseason and on the podcast? Wasn't wild about LSU's non-conference schedule. Okay, well, this shows you what I know, because we're not quite at the point where we're spending a lot of time talking about RPIs, but we can see it from here. LSU is 4th in the nation in RPI through 28 games. Now, the schedule wasn't sexy for sure. Didn't have a lot of big names on it. But let me tell you what it does have. It's got a lot of teams that LSU has beaten that have winning records. And you can say, well, what leagues are they playing and all that stuff. All I know is they got a win against Kansas State, who's got a winning record. They're 8 games over 500. They got a win against Sam Houston State, who's 7 games over 500. Again, not real sexy, but, teams that have reasonable RPIs. The loss to Iowa is an RPI 68. Texas, that win on the road is against a team that's 11 games over 500 and is an RPI of 16. The 2 wins against Central Connecticut, who I didn't think anything of, and LSU beat them by a combined score of 29-4. Well, Central Connecticut's 14-3 in games where they don't play LSU. Lamar, the Fighting Will Davises, are 7 games over 500. Samford, didn't think anything of that series. LSU won those 3 games by a combined score of 36-2. Samford's not any good. Hey, I was leading the charge. Guilty. Okay? Samford 16-12 and got an RPI of 76. Shutout UNO 16-0. The Fighting Blake Deans have a winning record. They're 2 games over 500. A&M struggling in the league. I get it. You win 2 out of 3 over there. They got an RPI of 44. They're 6 games over 500. Arkansas has lost 3 games this season besides who they played against, the 2 they played against LSU. They're 22-3 against everybody else. And then the 3 wins against Tennessee, and now you're playing another team with a winning record tonight. As unsexy as it looked, as much criticism as it may have garnered, looks okay right now. And pretty much all of the rest of the games are against teams that are, in the Southeastern Conference, and even some of these non-conference games are against teams with winning records. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good right now. Take a break. We come back. We got some stuff from the LSU practice field. Defensive coordinator Matt House met with the media this morning. Pelicans with a huge game tonight. Mario's geeked, man. We're down the stretch here. Things are close. Kings and the Pels tonight at the Blender. Dwayne Colucci's with us at the bottom of the hour. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you.
Pop, pop.
What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
.1045 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented today by Luba, Lewis Mechanical, and Acura Baton Rouge. Donate today at 1045ESPN.com.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Pell's a 4-point choice at the blender tonight against Sacramento, who is playing everybody, right?
Yes.
Everybody's suiting up. They had an embarrassing loss, and apparently they're taking it to heart. Portland's JV team beat them, and I say JV team because Portland was starting a team. When they played the Pelicans last week, it was basically 4 journeymen and Shaden Sharp, who's a 19-year-old rookie, and they're still playing journeyman players. we recognize some of them. Skylar Mays had a really good game, right?
Yes.
10 and 8, I think it was,
And a game winner.
Yeah.
Shout out.
So look, good for Skylar. But the Kings are playing everybody. In fact, this is the point where the NBA actually has my attention across the board now, because pretty much everybody is playing. Okay, when everybody's playing and everybody cares, it's pretty good product. Okay, but everybody's got to be playing and everybody cares. That's why I may mention this tomorrow when we do first class, second class, no class, the new CBA extension that's come out that requires players to get in at least 65 games in order to be considered for awards. Why is that important? We say, oh, they don't care about awards. Well, they actually do, because there's a lot of contracts that are tied to making first or second or third team All NBA or the All Defensive Team or things like that. And we're not talking about a little bit of money here. John Morant, for instance, I think has got somewhere around $39 million on the line on whether or not, over the course of his next contract, whether he makes All NBA or not. So I thought that was a good move. But everybody's playing tonight. The difference in the margin between 5th and 11th continues to just be razor thin. Right now, though, the Pels have a 43% chance to make the playoffs without having to play in the play-in. So that didn't seem possible a couple of weeks ago. So right now, in 5th place, you've got the Clippers, who are a half game ahead of the Pelicans, and the Warriors, who are also a half game ahead of the Pelicans. The Lakers, who have the same record as the Pelicans, so they're tied for 7th and 8th. The Lakers own the tiebreaker, but they are all tied in the loss column. This is the point in the season where we call it the all-important loss column. Yes, Clippers, Warriors, Lakers, Pelicans. So tonight, real important. Pels hold a game and a half lead over Minnesota for the difference between 8th and 9th. That's the difference in playing at home or on the road at some point in the play-in. The Mavericks are in 11th place. They are a full game behind 10th, and they are 3.5 games ahead of the Pels, behind the Pels. So shockingly, and I mean, this just sent shockwaves through the league, and certainly here, the Kyrie trade has not worked out well for Dallas. Just not exactly what they were hoping to get. And who could have seen that coming? Because Kyrie just fits in perfectly everywhere he goes. Mr. Cuban may be reconsidering his decision. So it's all right there here in the last 4 games, and the Pels with a massive game tonight. I say Sacramento's playing their guys because with 4 games left, they're 2 games out of 2nd and 4 games ahead of 4th. So are they going to catch Memphis? It's unlikely, okay, to be able to do that. So the overwhelming probability is that Sacramento will stay right there in the 3-hole. But they coughed one up to Portland the other night, so they're going to be into it. Big game tonight for New Orleans at the Blender. LSU continuing with spring football. We heard from Mike Denbrock over the weekend, the offensive coordinator. Today it was Matt House opening up with how he feels about the Tiger spring drill so far.
So pretty happy with how spring is going as far as, just reestablishing our process, reestablishing the traits that we view as important. A lot of young guys out there getting reps, which is good for our depth going into the fall. I had some good situational work today.
Always happy when you can get through spring, at least to this point, without having any, too many significant injuries. The one unusual thing about this is that they've had to replace a coach midstream with Jamar Cain headed to the Denver Broncos. John Jancic was brought in to be not only the special teams coordinator, but also to be the outside linebackers coach. This was, as near as we can tell, something that Matt House was very much in favor of and pushed for pretty significantly, was to have a pass rush specialist coach, and Jancic fills that bill, and House talked about his role this morning.
Yeah, I'm a big John Jancic fan. I love having JJ out there. He gives great energy. He's a great teacher. He's been successful in this league, both as a coordinator and as a position coach. He's definitely been an added value on the field.
Seen him do the special teams every way you can do it, here and other places. Generally, it's about the players on special teams, coaching special teams. A lot of times it's about, it's about motivation. It's not quite to the level of strength coach where, you're just a rah-rah guy all the time. But a lot of times that special teams is about, you got guys that are committed to those units and they get down and make plays. There's only so many ways you can schematically work these things. After a while, it's about players. So Jancic's role, to me, the more important part of the role is going to be is that outside pass rush coach. House also talked today about his entire defensive line.
Really pleased with Jacobian's growth. He's doing a nice job. I'm really pleased with Savion's growth. And you still have Mekhi Wingo. He's at every practice. He may not be on the field. You still have Mason Smith. He's at every practice. You're not on the field. I'm excited about the potential depth of that group. There's a lot of guys that are growing, and that's exciting.
Jacobian Guillory's growth to me is something that's significant because last year LSU went into a lot of games where Mekhi Wingo and Jaquilin Roy were playing basically 90% of the snaps. It wasn't because Guillory wasn't healthy. I mean, they've had that situation in the past, like in the 18 team where I think it was Greg Gilmore and Christian Lockhart played every snap because they didn't have another one. They had Guillory last year. They just chose not to play him most of the time. So if he's making progress, and that's somebody that behind Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith, you're counting on somebody who's going to get rotation reps and not what I call exhaustion reps. I thought he got exhaustion reps last year. When those two guys on the field were so dead tired that they couldn't go anymore, they stuck Guillory in the game. This guy was a very highly rated player. There's nothing wrong with his size. There's nothing wrong with the motor. It's just production. So glad to hear that he is doing well this spring. The last question before we move on here, everybody watching Harold Perkins, and they're using him on the inside, and House talked about that.
Well, I mean, we know Harold has some elite ability, but he came here to learn to play linebacker and not necessarily just a hybrid. And the spring's kind of a great time to do that. You learn the techniques and fundamentals associated with playing the stack position, he's still playing out in space some, and it's just going to enhance his game and really what he came here to be.
Long as on third down he's rushing the passer, not covering anybody, I'm fine. When it's a passing down, I want 4 rushing the passer. He's 4 right now. He's not 40 anymore. So I want 4 rushing the passer if it's a passing down. You want, you train him to do all these other things. That's great. Okay. When you know the other team's got to pass, when they're in a high percentage passing down, I want him rushing the passer. Everything else fall into place. Take a break. Come back. Dwayne Colucci from Las Vegas. College basketball season is over. The Masters and the NBA playoffs are on the horizon. We'll talk with Colucci about that when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Infinity of Baton Rouge. Looking to buy your car off the street. Right now, it takes less than 15 minutes for you to get a quote on what your vehicle is worth from Infinity of Baton Rouge. At that point, you can sell it to them outright. You can trade in on another model. There's no pressure to buy, or you can just leave with the knowledge of what your vehicle is now worth. But let me tell you about the Certified Pre-Owned program at Infinity. We took advantage of it just a few weeks ago. Once again, you're going to get into a vehicle that fits what you're looking for. The make, the model, the mileage, the price, the age of the vehicle. It's going to be through a strong vetting process, okay? They're so confident in their 167-point inspections that they're going to give you a 100,000-mile powertrain warranty to go with this. Large inventory on site right now, plus you're going to get 1 year of prepaid maintenance, roadside assistance, and a complimentary car when you do bring your vehicle in to be serviced. It's an easy buying experience. It's why we're back again on Airline Highway at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Jeep Gladiators and $8,000 off new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokees. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary. For those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is.
Join me for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Get you ready for LSU and Nichols on the diamond. We'll chat with Glenn West of Go247 and Sharif Ishak from WDSU down in New Orleans. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Joining us now from Las Vegas to South Point and the Rampart, our man Dwayne Colucci. Colucci, I know every year after the tournament, just for a second, you guys get to catch your breath after what's been a really March Madness. Okay, tell me the truth. Did you start your break early and go to sleep in the second half of UConn San Diego State last night? Because I kind of did.
I almost did, I tell you, because I actually bet UConn first half. So, it was kind of a snooze fest. And, that's what you could possibly have when you're dealing with, this tournament and having so many upsets. When you don't have these flashy, enamoring teams, and most of them are eliminated, like I said, UCLA, Alabama, Houston, all these top teams were eliminated in earlier rounds. Sometimes you will, fall victim to having a mismatch, which unfortunately had happened in the title game. And you kind of had that sense just the way UConn was able to dominate, this whole tournament and beat teams by double digits throughout. And you knew San Diego State didn't really have all that firepower. I watched them all year. They're more of a defensive-orientated team. And when their shots aren't falling and the refs aren't giving them the benefit of the calls, it definitely becomes a struggle playing catch-up against a team like UConn that had all size advantages and, all sorts of other things that San Diego State then they just couldn't overcome.
Kaluch, is it more about the fact that the game was lopsided than it was San Diego State? I'm going to ask you to think back to 10 and 11 when Butler made the finals in back-to-back years. This is what I remember. I'll see if this matches with you, and if it doesn't, please tell me different. I remember being very into Butler versus Duke, okay? Be it that Duke is the big villain or the fact that Butler had a really good team that year, but mostly it was because the game was close. It was a good game. It wasn't a high-scoring game, but it was a very close game. When Butler went back to play UConn the next year, that game stunk. I mean, it was close in the first half, but it was just awful. I watched Butler and Duke. I was so ready for Butler and UConn to be over. I'm flipping over to Seinfeld reruns and in between commercials. So, is it more about that? What do you remember about those games?
Well, yeah, definitely. And when a team returns the second year around, sometimes they're just not as effective, believe it or not. You think that they would improve, and sometimes the opponent actually is a higher quality opponent than the prior year. So this was definitely a snooze fest. I was telling my dad, thank God the Golden Knights are playing tonight, and we got a little action on the other TV, So it's hard to gauge these college games. But going in, you knew UConn had a distinct advantage. You were seeing one of the higher point spreads, Charlie, in the last 10 years. So you kind of had that sense. And, Sanogo played fabulous. He was unstoppable. Newton was unstoppable. Hawkins. They just have so many players where San Diego State's level of basketball could not match that and that Mountain West competition. And let's get real. San Diego State got lucky in several games, 2 games where there were buzzer beaters right at the end. Like I said, a lot of referee calls. I know the San Diego State fans will beat me up for this, but you have to live in reality. They really shouldn't have been there, in my opinion. And this is what you get, Charlie, like you said, reminding you of the Butler Duke and then UConn matchup the next year.
I got to ask you what the reaction was, if any, to the women's game, because the ratings were almost tenfold, it looks like, or at least 5 times what they were for anything else. It's gotten better ratings in a lot of the football games. So with all of that, and, women's basketball having point spreads is still something that's fairly new. I'm asking you, what was the reaction in Vegas to the women's game? Because that game had people buzzing all day yesterday.
Oh, it was crazy handle, I'll be honest with you, and crazy excitement. And definitely your head coach down there brings some of that excitement, that flashiness. She knows how to play off the media. You had the great player and Caitlin Clark show up. So, beating especially South Carolina, you saw such a massive point spread discrepancy because they were getting double digits. Then all of a sudden they're the favorite against an LSU team, which was just as solid, in my opinion. So you definitely had to look at the dog there. And, there was a lot of stuff going on. You saw a lot of chitter-chatter, Angela Reese and all that, the taunting. It seems like the girls get more physical and taunt more than the guys do at this point. I mean, I think a girl in the NIT punched another girl in the face in the handshake.
She did, and she got arrested for it, too.
Right. Yeah, Charlie. So, these girls are playing with their hearts, and people appreciate that. And like you said, now we got point spreads on them.
Yeah, believe me, I've been to enough women's basketball games, and I know people that work the games where they are courtside, and they've told me, for years, things that I knew, haven't watched. There's just as much trash talk in a girls' basketball game as a boys' basketball game at the college level. They are intense. They're into it. But at any rate, was there just from a straight number standpoint, did you guys look at this and say, there is a Caitlin Clark factor here as far as handle, whether it be in the Friday night game or the Sunday final?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you see a girl pouring in 40 points and, playing, out of her mind and leading her team, taking them on her back and beating an undefeated team, it's definitely, like signs like of a Jimmy Fredette when he was on fire. You start to ride this team and you start to pay more attention because of that singular player that is, just pouring in points. And she was doing some taunting on her own. She was taunting Louisville earlier rounds. She was definitely talking a lot of smack. So people wanted to see that and see the big matchup against LSU. And she could complete, the championship game, and she could not. LSU took it right to them. They definitely knew how to defend her. And, Caitlin Clark will be a fabulous talent. You know that, probably a WNBA player. And she did bring some handle and some attraction to the Racing Sportsbook at the Rampart.
And she's going to be a star at the next level, too. I had thought that she was definitely coming back, but apparently there's some question about whether she may go pro or not, but we'll see. It was fun to watch, and it was way better than the game we watched. Watched last night. All right, so let's turn our attention to the Masters for a second here. I was watching Tiger at the press conference this morning. I know that no matter what his game is like or what kind of shape he's in, that he draws some handling. You can bet on him to make the cut or not make the cut. He's a long shot, obviously, to win the tournament. But what are you seeing as far as Masters handle right now? Because McIlroy, Scheffler, and Rahm are about as short a price as you're going to get pre-tournament.
Yeah, and I had several sharps jumping on Rory. He was definitely a popular attraction, especially yesterday. The handle started to come in. Like you said, Scheffler 7-1, Rory 7-1. That's at the Rampart in South Point currently. We've seen some Justin Thomas action. He's at about 12-1. John Rahm 10-1. The top of the list. But Tiger is always going to merit some handle and definitely merit some attraction. He is unbelievable. It's just the longevity factor, and he always has a chance, Charlie. Even if he's not on the top of his game, he is going to draw a handle. And, I believe we have him at 60-1. We're giving you a right price because, like you said, it's not the Tiger of old. Several injuries, the car accident there, it took him a while to recover. But we do get some handle on Tiger regardless of his health. Just because he's there, it's a major factor. And, another attraction, Jordan Speed is taking a little. We also Cantlay 22-1. Speed, like I said, 12-1. So it's spread out pretty much this year. And it's going to be interesting now with the mix with the live golfers returning back to the tour.
You get a little bit the head-to-head handle, the top five handle. Listen, back in the beginnings of betting golf, it was you bet a guy to win the tournament, and that was 90% of what the offerings were. You guy goes out and shoots 75 on Thursday, you're done. You got no action left. But now you can bet head-to-head matchups. You can bet top fives. You can bet a lot of different props. Besides to win, what else are people betting on for the Masters?
Yeah, definitely matchups. You're right, Charlie. We have head-to-head matchups. We'll have them round by round. Rory -115, Scheffler -105 is one example. We have Rory in several matchups as well as Scheffler, John Rahm, like I said. Speed, Cantlay, Justin Thomas. Speed is a -120 against him in a head-on matchup. So you definitely could bet round by round. We will have adjusted odds. We also will have matchups round by round. Like you said, will Tiger make the cut? There's so many different propositions now that we try to play with and put up at the Rampart and South Point because the handle and the interest in golf has grown immensely over the course of the last 10 to 15 years. And definitely guys like Tiger Woods are a part of that. And, also, like I said, Rory, DJ, when he's healthy, with the flashy wife and all that, it's just off the hook that, golfers are now somewhat celebrities and looked at in the same light as other athletes, and people want to bet on this. And as the gambling landscape grows, we have to be competitive and put up more and more propositions, especially on the majors.
There'll never be a spike in the interest of golf like there was when Tiger was in his prime again, I don't think. But I will say that the more recent interest in golf, I'm going to put a lot on this, which is the fact that they were the first thing back. They were the first, other than horse racing, they were the first thing back from the pandemic. And there were weekends where I can remember watching the Rocket Mortgage Open in Detroit and being into it, because the first sporting event I'd had gotten to watch live in however many months it was. And I think golf took a big boost from that. People kind of stayed with it afterwards. Maybe I'm wrong, but I put a lot into that. That when nobody else was playing, they were out playing golf, and it was something that we could watch.
Yeah, and definitely that creates interest, because when you're the only sporting event, like you said, a lot of people shun the horse racing. You're going to look to professional athletes and human athletes, and that definitely becomes a major focal point, and it increases interest and handle. So, yeah, that's a great point, Charlie. While they were playing and the other sports were just sitting around during the COVID period, you started to familiarize yourself with these celebrities and these golfers, and definitely it heightens interest from a handle perspective. And I love it, I'll be honest with you, but that definitely helped. That's a great point that you just made, Charlie.
What you got on our guy Sam Burns, the LSU product? Won the match play 2 weeks ago. What you got on Sammy?
Let me see. I'm looking right now. 40-1.
40-1.
Sammy Burns, 40-1 at the Rampart in South Point.
Put me down. I'm good. I'm good for it, man. Put me down on Sammy.
Charlie, definitely. If I could get away with it, forget it.
Right.
You know how it is.
I'll take care of it. Don't worry about that. I have a little bit on Sammy. All right, we're getting close to the NBA playoffs. So much I know this because everybody's playing now. The games actually matter. The Pelicans are right here in the middle of this thing to get into the playoff, the play-in, however it falls. Your thoughts about who you guys are riding, where you're seeing some handle, maybe even some futures handle going into, especially in the Western Conference, it seems like a wide open race.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a crapshoot, and the Lakers are playing really well now. So that the Lakers are going to merit a lot of attention regardless. They're in the 7-hole right now. They won 3 in a row. It's going to be very tough to handicap this Western Conference. You got the Grizzlies sitting in the 2. Denver, they've had some injuries. Jokic has been a little banged up, so you have that. You had the Ja Morant parody. Sacramento played out of their minds, and they continue to 47-31. So they've been a factor. Keeping an eye on Kevin Durant as well. The Suns are definitely going to be a force as you come down the stretch. Whereas if, Golden State doesn't get Wiggins back, who knows what's going to happen with them, in the play-in scenario possibly. I mean, they're sitting in the 6, but they're hanging on for dear life. 5-5 in their last 10, whereas the Pelicans and Lakers are both 7-3. And the biggest disappointment, the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, that's just maybe Kyrie is the cancer wherever he goes, and LeBron was the only factor that could win and play and put him aside. I don't know how a team with that much talent could be falling from the face of the earth and losing, but they don't play defense either. That's a whole nother key. And you look at the coaching staff with that. You can't just outscore teams scoring 150 and 160. This is the NBA level. So from a futures market perspective, Suns, Lakers, and Clippers are definitely very fashionable. And now the Celtics, are getting hot on the Eastern side. Knicks started to get a little handle. Believe it or not, my Knicks have a chance. They're in the 5. They clinched the playoff spot, which is, I'm feeling good about that. We won 4 in a row. So you always see a little handle on New York when they're playing good. But I don't think they can beat the Bucks, Celtics, or Sixers, I'll be honest with you. Too much firepower. Giannis is the man. Look out. They're going to be a factor. I think they might win the title, I'll be honest with you.
They look like the best team right now. It's certainly the way Giannis is playing, what we've seen them do to Boston and Philadelphia just here recently, they're kind of stamping their mark to say, hey, listen, we're still a team to beat. So we'll see. Kaluch, we always appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Definitely, Charlie. Thanks for having me on. And congratulations to LSU's women down there in Baton Rouge. Love you guys.
There's going to be a parade tomorrow. We appreciate it. Dwayne Colucci from the South Point and the Rampart. We'll take a break, come back, wrap things up. It's Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
And our friends out at Big Mike's with ball crawfish every day, starting at 11 o'clock. And the prices come down now at $5.99 a pound. 3-pound plates will get you free corn and potatoes to go along with it. If boiled shrimp or more what you're looking for, Monday night, it's all you can eat boiled shrimp. Going to have live music coming up this weekend. They are closed on Easter Sunday, but you can always rent out party rooms at Big Mike's, multiple sizes for your private get-togethers. Also, catering off-site is available. Happy hour drink prices Monday through Friday from 3 until 7. On Sundays, not this Sunday, but every other Sunday, it starts at 11, and those prices are good all day. Great for Sunday afternoon baseball, Sunday afternoon golf, Sunday afternoon NASCAR. Spend it at Big Mike's. Watch the games and on all of the 40 TVs in the building. With the Denham Springs Hall of Fame out in front, Denham Springs tradition. Big Mike's on Aspen Boulevard. We're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 36.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR. We'll continue to react to the Natty. Also, LSU football back on the practice field. We'll hear from defensive coordinator Matt House, and the Tigers and Pels play. Join us, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Annegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
And a couple of questions in the Bayou Ford chat. Ask Hanny, will Tiger and or Phil make the cut? It's actually odds on this. Okay, so at Bet Rivers, Tiger Woods is minus 225 to make the cut and plus 163 to not make the cut. I wouldn't bet either one of those. I think that it's probably somewhere in between. I would give Tiger about a 50-50 chance to make the cut, and some of that's got to do with the weather, which is supposed to be a little bit nasty. I was listening to him this morning, and he said, listen, I feel better than I did last year at this time, but it's harder for me to get myself in position. This is the one course in the world that I give Tiger Woods a chance. He doesn't play often enough for him to, compete at a U.S. Open anymore. Same thing with Phil Mickelson. But at Augusta, man, look, I've seen Freddie Couples at 59 shoot, 68. He knows that golf course down to every blade of grass. So I give Woods probably about a 50-50 chance. If the weather stays somewhat reasonable, I think he's got a good chance to make the cut. Like I said, about 50-50. Mickelson's been playing poorly, even on the LIV Tour, where there's not a whole lot of pressure. There's no pressure. Just pay you regardless. So I would say Phil's much more in danger of not making the cut than Tiger. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Jacob and Mario, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside off the bench. Hanny time. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online